Welcome friends and partners of Singapore Biodesign to the graduation of our Innovation and Faculty Fellows. Congratulations to the Fellows for making it till the end. It has been a long 10 months of arduous work, fighting it out amongst yourselves for the best need and concept. I'm really proud of how far you have come along. The Innovation Fellowship consists of the formation of multidisciplinary teams comprising of engineers, healthcare professionals, and business industry professionals who will be trained in the biodesign methodology which originated from our joint program partner, Stanford Byers Center for Biodesign. The full-time Innovation Fellowship will feature high-touch training and mentorship by esteemed mentors from Singapore Biodesign. The mentors are made up of Stanford faculty as well as local experts who have wide-ranging international experience from relevant disciplines such as clinical, technical, venture, and industry. The Singapore Biodesign Innovation Fellowship has brought our fellows through the different iterative phases of identify, invent, and implement. Now, let's hear what the mentors have to say.
Hi fellows, congrats in completing the program. I know it has been a difficult and different fellowship in a pandemic year, but nonetheless, glad to see all three of you made it through the finishing line today. Unfortunately, I'm out of town and can't be with you in person at this moment. But here's my best wishes to you in your next endeavor, and may the process you have learned during this fellowship serve as a compass as you navigate your own innovation journey from here. So here's a toast to all three of you. Bon voyage.
Hi guys, congratulations, you're graduating soon. You must be glad too, right? After experiencing such an unprecedented fellowship. It's actually quite a good thing because you get to experience what a real startup environment is like with all its constraints and challenges. Anyway, I'm looking forward to seeing market impact from the project which you have created. So, 加油! All the best!
Hi, Kok Pan, Gibson and John. Congrats on completing the program as 2SB. The last several months would have been challenging, but hopefully also enriching and enlightening for you. As you graduate, you're joining an illustrious group of past fellows from the SSB and SB programs who are contributing to the advancement of biodesign in Singapore and beyond. May I take this opportunity to wish you well as you start on this very interesting journey in your careers. Congrats once again.
Hello Gibson, Kok Pan and John. Heartiest congratulations for completing your fellowship. I think your fellowship was one of many firsts and you guys did especially well despite all the challenges. I'm especially glad to have walked the journey with you guys, and I learned so much from you as well. Now that you guys are fellows in your own right, I wish you all the very best in your career ahead, and I look forward to seeing all of you create waves in the medtech ecosystem. Thanks guys.
It's been my privilege to mentor fellows from the Singapore Biodesign program for several years now, including this year's graduating class. John, KP, Gibson, congratulations on achieving this great milestone in a really challenging year. I've been so impressed with how you have worked so hard through many challenges, not being able to do immersion in person, not being able to meet very often, not being able to travel to Stanford, all these things that we took for granted that we couldn't do in this pandemic year. And still you guys persevered, moved your project forward, found a really fascinating need and a really innovative solution, and just put together a lot of effort to move this forward. So I hope you're very proud of yourself for achieving this milestone, as we all are.
Hi there, John, Gibson, and Kok Pan. It's been a pleasure working with you this year, and I wanted to extend my congratulations to you for graduating from the Singapore Biodesign program as the second cohort of fellows. It's really been a lot of fun working with you virtually, and I'm sorry we weren't able to do it in person as I've been doing for the last decade or so with all the other fellows, but I've been just so impressed with your work ethic, your follow-through, and obviously your ingenuity and creativity to get through the program and come up with some really interesting, thought-provoking insights and inventions as well. So just wanted to extend my congratulations and hope that we can continue to be in close contact going forward. Remember, the relationship with the program and with the faculty doesn't end with the end of the fellowship. So congratulations again, and all the best in your career going forward. Take care.
So we went through 10 months of the biodesign process within the constraints of the pandemic. So we spent a lot of time on Zoom doing interviews for needs finding. We were fortunately able to spend 2 weeks at NUH to do some needs finding on the ground. Subsequently, we spent time brainstorming concepts and eventually learned how to develop a plan to implement our concept.
So what we did during this 10 months of program was to try to commercialize our idea from concept all the way until something that we can hit the market with. And then what we actually did was that we interviewed clinicians trying to find clinical gaps, and also we went for an immersion program with the National University Hospital. It was really a guts and gore galore, and then we thoroughly enjoyed our time with the clinicians there, trying to sieve out what are the crucial pain points that they have, and hopefully we can come up with a good solution for that.
This year is an exceptional year with the restrictions imposed due to COVID-19. Things were very dynamic as we had to constantly adjust to changes as the situation improved. Our fellowship did not start with the usual clinical immersion, nor did we have visits to China or US. We had to be creative as we learned to sieve out needs through interviews with our local clinicians, and thanks to the Biodesign Network, we were connected to the Chinese and American clinicians to validate our needs. The SP office has brought Stanford to us through virtual meeting as well.
I thoroughly enjoyed the iterative process of the clinical gaps that we are supposed to identify, and then come up with the need statements together with my teammates. And what was actually fun was that we were able to bounce off ideas during the brainstorming process, and hopefully with a bit of luck and also like some insights from our mentors, we were able to prototype something that we would think is good for commercialization. And also our mentors were very proactive in helping us navigate the commercialization pathways and also some of the IP strategies involved.
I equally enjoyed the intense brainstorming with my team and casual coffee sessions with our mentors.
So what I enjoyed the most about this fellowship, well, it's definitely the journey together with my teammates and the mentors, Chris, Ritu, Jingming, Ray, Florence and Fiona. It's almost like a hero's journey. There are 3 of us on this Fellowship of the Rain, guided by the 6 mentors on the quest to Mount Zoom. Many obstacles and challenges along the way, but we've learned to adapt and learn as much as we could within the constraints of the pandemic. I'm definitely more confident now to apply what I've learned in the past 10 months.
I'd like to thank my teammates, KP and John, my Singapore and Stanford mentors, and the Biodesign Office. They have made my biodesign journey enriching and fun.
So words can't describe the magnitude of my appreciation for the mentors, our team psychologist, Dr. Marlene, the Singapore Biodesign team, especially Cheryl, Shireen, Alex, Hichun, Adeline, Finn and Mary, and the multitude of people from TTSH, NUH, SGH and CGH who have given their time for interviews while in the midst of fighting the pandemic. The fellowship program I went through was an unprecedented one, and it definitely wasn't easy, but the contributions and sacrifices of everyone made the experience a worthy and enjoyable one.
I would like to thank the SP office and also our mentors as they have guided us through our journey and made sure that this program was possible even during a challenging period. I'll be actively involved in the MedTech ecosystem, and I hope that my inventive contributions will one day be commercialized.
I'm ready to kickstart more projects in my hospital and to collaborate with others who are on this journey of healthcare innovation to have a higher chance of success and to eventually make the lives of our patients better.
Following my graduation, I'll look for opportunities to apply the biodesign process and contribute to the community. For 3SB Fellows, be creative and make use of whatever resources available to experience the biodesign process. When the world throws you lemon, make lemonade with it.
So here are some pointers for 3SB. Never give up, persevere when the going gets tough, and always remember that the greatest ideas are born while having fun in the process.
So for 3SB, so 3 words: improvise, adapt, overcome. The journey will be challenging, but you have fun meeting new people and learning every single day.
Hi everyone, my name is Mark and I'm the Faculty Fellowship Head for Singapore Biodesign. I've also been teaching in university for the past 9 years, where one of the biggest difficulties we face lay in teaching innovation programs effectively. Things changed for me though, in 2017 when I joined the Singapore Stanford Biodesign Innovation Fellowship. I'm now with a robust methodology and backed up with a network of experts. I found significant improvements in my ability to lead and run innovation programs. To address some of these leadership gaps, we designed a new part-time course aimed at faculty members and ecosystem leaders. The Faculty Fellowship complements the deep domain expertise and extensive experience that these program leaders and educators have, providing training in critical elements of biodesign. Through this training, faculty fellows will be equipped with the frameworks and networks to supercharge their efforts in their host institutions. Like all Singaporeans, I like acronyms, and the Biodesign Faculty Fellows are truly my BFF. In our inaugural year, I was very fortunate to have the opportunity to work with an extremely dynamic team comprising Associate Professor Manojit Pramanik from Nanyang Technological University, Dr. Su Yi from A*STAR, and Dr. Damien Tan from Singapore General Hospital. To the BFF, it's been a blast working with you. Love the energy, love the enthusiasm, and just wanted to let you know that we're all looking forward to lots of great things from you in the near future. No pressure at all. Alright, let us now hear what our BFF had to say about their experience.
Hi, I'm Manojit. I'm Associate Professor at NTU in Biomedical Engineering Department. When I first came to know about Biodesign Fellowship, I was really excited to know more about the program. The reason was I am teaching a module on medical device design to our undergraduate students, and I thought I can learn something on the biodesign which I can bring back to the students and educate them so that they are aware of how they can translate or how they can commercialize some of the ideas they have during their studies. So I applied to the program, and finally I was very excited to join the program. And once I joined, I met Sui and Dr. Damien, and we formed a team to work on pancreatic cancer diagnosis problem, and we kept on meeting every week for long hours to discuss, to understand, to go through the journey of how to find a problem statement, how to do the prototyping, how to understand the IP landscape, the market strategy, and all these things, regulatory affairs. So over the past 6-7 months, we have learned as a team. We met several key people in the industry to get their perspective, and these things have taught us, or taught particularly me, the core aspects of biodesign, and which I think I can bring back to NTU and educate our students, and also apply in my own research where this kind of design thinking may help us to translate, to commercialize some of the research project we are working on. And not only the knowledge aspect, also we have met new friends, and hopefully this friendship will go beyond this 6-8 months period, and hopefully in the next decade we'll still be continuing our collaboration, and we'll see how things pan out.
Hi, my name is Sui. I'm from A*STAR. I'm running the Health and MedTech Program Office in A*STAR. This is an office that coordinates all the MedTech related activities within A*STAR by bringing together the research councils as well as the enterprise division to work together with the ecosystem to invigorate the MedTech landscape. When I first heard of the Biodesign Faculty Fellowship Program, I was very excited. My main motivation of joining the program is to learn the biodesign thinking and framework, and to bring that back into what we are doing in A*STAR in terms of research and development in the MedTech area. Now, Manojit has shared a lot about the journey. So we have gone through that 8 months of identify, invent, implementation process. So I shan't elaborate on that any further, but I would like to spend a little bit of time talking about what are the outcomes in terms of joining the BFF program. So for A-STAR, for me, one of the key things that we have done is to collaborate very closely with the Singapore Biodesign team to bring the biodesign framework and the training back into the funding program. So in A-STAR, we're running this funding program called BEP, which stands for Biomedical Engineering Program. This program is a funding program to seed early phase medtech research. Now we are sending our shortlisted teams to join this program so that they can be familiarized with the biodesign framework so that they can navigate the complexities of the whole process much more efficiently. At the same time, it also prepares them to be sharper in terms of their proposal, to help them think beyond the technicals, such as to look at the commercial viability, to look at important considerations such as regulatory framework, as well as consideration for the payers dynamics. Right? So all these are very important aspects, and it is very difficult to pick up this knowledge piecewise. So we are very happy to work with the Singapore Biodesign to now bring this whole framework and formalize it into the mechanism. With this, we are transforming the BEP from a funding program into a talent development program as well.
Hi, my name is Damien. I'm a senior consultant gastroenterologist as well as director of endoscopy center from the Singapore General Hospital. And it's a great honor to be here in this program. It's actually very fortuitous because previously I attended as a fellow in the Singapore Biodesign course. It was a part-time course, and I learned a lot from there. And this course itself, now actually it's further enriching me, better understanding the landscape as I now put on a different lens of a mentor for my junior doctors. I'm able to understand better how a clinician can integrate together with his colleagues in other high institutes of learning like NTU from Manojit, or even for Sui from A-STAR. I think for us as clinicians, we have many problems that we want to solve because we see on a daily basis, but sometimes we just do not know who to look for, which are the people which we're trying to ask us to help solve our problems, and it can be frustrating. So from my perspective as a faculty, I'm able to better guide my junior doctors who have clinical problems on who they should approach and how to solve their problems. Another thing that came out from this program was the networks we built up. We were able to meet up the industry leaders, the key opinion leaders in this field, and the who's who in the medtech landscape. And I think this is very invaluable experience because now as a mentor to my juniors, I can direct them to the right people on who to get funding from or who to understand regulatory or IP requirements. On a personal front, I think the project that we undertook brought special meaning to me because my specialty is in pancreas cancer, and it's with their help of my fellow colleagues that we were able to further try to understand the disease and to look for possible solutions that could actually make a difference in the patients' lives. And on another light-hearted note, all the times that we spent together, late nights, ordering Grab food and trying out different cuisines from our mentor Mark, as well as the liquid supplements that we had to make the conversations flow more easily, brings back a lot of happy memories for us. So I'd like to really thank the Biodesign program because it's really enriched my life, and I also think my colleagues also will agree, enrich our lives, and we hope that more of this will be available to other people so that they could experience the same things that we had. Thank you.
Congratulations to SB for completing the fellowship. We know it wasn't easy getting to where you are. I recall at the start of the fellowship, all of us, coming from different backgrounds, facing different challenges to overcome. During the identify stage, we had to quickly understand the clinical landscape, interpret research papers, and speak the language of doctors to communicate effectively to understand the needs. In the event stage, we had to suspend judgment of ideas during the brainstorming phase. In the implementation phase, our team of 3 engineers and a doctor wore the business hat of strategizing and formulating plans with limited information. We experienced many emotional ups and downs as we de-risked the project and found new risks along the way. I'm glad to say that by the end of the fellowship, our project was de-risked to a level sufficient to embark on the extension phase.
Our team has continued with our fellowship project, a minimally invasive implant for the treatment of angle closure glaucoma. It has been challenging but exciting, and a high point was when we managed to successfully place our implants in ex vivo porcine eyes. We have embarked on the medtech journey for a Class 3 implant, refining the design and surgical technique, figuring out the test models, and applying for our next source of funding. In this regard, we have been very fortunate to have the continued support of our ophthalmologist partners, mentors, and Singapore Biodesign. We have had our fair share of challenges, including working on this project outside of office hours. Nonetheless, it definitely helps to know that this project, which made it to the top from our biodesign process, is worth the effort.
Hi to SB. It's been a long journey since our team's conception to get to where we are now. And looking back at how we pushed the whole project and overcame the odds, we found that the challenges we faced were actually a catalyst for our learning. I'd like to share 3 takeaways from the experience I've had through the biodesign journey. Alright. 1. Trust the process. This stuff works. Through your hard work, you guys have managed to come up with clinical need that has withstood all obstacles, and you will continue to stand against whatever skeptics or unbelievers might throw against you. 2. The team is key. It's not going to be your clinical need, your solution, or your business plan that's magically going to make your journey a success. What matters more is how well you guys can continue to work together for a common goal. Trusting each other's capabilities and getting other people to believe in your team's ability to deliver is the thing that will get you furthest along in this innovation journey. 3. Hang in there. You're leaving the sort of comfort of the fellowship for the real world now, and things are not going to be smooth sailing. Life has a habit of getting in the way, and not all of you may end up going down the same path in the future. Nevertheless, it's important for you to keep the fire going. Remember the excitement when you first heard that's a great idea from KOL, when your final prototype finally did exactly what you wanted it to do, or when you made that perfect pitch. It'll be all worth it in the end.
Dear 2SB Fellows, congratulations! Amidst a pandemic and with everything being done online, I'm sure it was not an easy journey, but I hope it was a fruitful one. A lot of what we conventionally believed in as being the only way of doing something has been challenged and changed during your time. You learned how to deal with an uncertain environment and the discomfort of working with the unknown. And I hope these are valuable skills that you can add to your toolkit. Seize the opportunity, take the initiative, don't just dream, make it a reality. We are really excited that you are graduating and wish you all the best in your future endeavors. But remember that graduation is just the start of the journey, and we look forward to working with you soon.
To the 3SB, we'd like to say there's going to be an intense and short program for you all, but we are sure that you'll do a good job.
Maximize the time and resources you have, and don't shy away from challenges or asking for help.
The fellowship is a great opportunity for you to make mistakes in a safe learning environment.
It provides you with a great network of mentors and leaders, so make use of it now.
All the best!
very warm welcome back to our virtual audience, and thank you for your patience. I hope you have enjoyed the videos that we have prepared for you. We shall now resume the ceremony. Ms. Chan Lai Feng, Permanent Secretary, National Research and Development. Mr. Frederick Chew, CEO, A*STAR. Distinguished guests, friends and colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Singapore Bar Design Fellowship Graduation Ceremony 2021. Once again, my name is Mark, and I'll be your MC for today. On behalf of Singapore Bar Design, I would like to thank you for your generous support over the years. We appreciate you taking time off your busy schedules to join us today, and I hope you will enjoy the program that we have lined up. This afternoon, we are honored to have our guest of honor, Ms. Chan Lai Feng, Permanent Secretary, National Research Development, National Research Foundation, as well as Mr. Frederick Chew, CEO, A*STAR, to grace our event. We look forward to your guidance and leadership as we shape our program towards manpower domain in order to meet national needs in health tech innovation. Without further ado, for today's opening welcome remarks, I am pleased to invite CEO, A*STAR, Mr. Frederick Chew on stage. CE, please.
Testing. Okay. Good afternoon, Ms. Chan Lai Feng, PermSec, NRD, Professor Wong Tian Yin, who is also the chair of the SB Steering Com, as well as our colleagues from Stanford. I understand Paul Yoke and Christopher Shen may be dialing in. I'm not sure, but if you are, thank you for being part of this journey. I'm supposed to talk a little about what we are going to launch into in 2 weeks' time, which is RE 2025, and provide some backdrop of the I&E landscape. But before that, I thought I'll just share some thoughts, which as I walked in. Firstly, I think that we are on a very good trajectory for Singapore Biodesign. I know that because when I talked to some of the innovation and faculty fellows, one of them was if I may share, it was Gibson from DSO who actually took no pay leave to do this. I'm not sure if his boss knows he's, where he is, but I give Chihu a shout after this event. But the point here is that there's conviction, right? There's conviction to say that this is something worth embarking on. It's something worth 6 months of his time on no pay leave because he sees a promise of the future. I'm also quite heartened when I look at the stellar cast of alumni who are here, right? And I was talking to London Lucian, I know Danny has also been around since the start when it was SSB and now it's SB. This shows that actually there are people who are convicted that this is the way to go to develop the ecosystem to nurture talent. So if I use analogy on SB's approach, SB's approach, if you pardon me for using some biblical analogy, it's a bit of, as opposed to a mass market evangelism, this is a discipleship making kind of approach, right? So if you make a few good tutis, the chance, that they will be able to spread the skills in the jianghu, will be much better, right? So I think, of course, it's going to be a hybrid approach in Singapore. It cannot be totally discipleship making, nor should it be totally mass market evangelism. Probably it's somewhere in between that we need to find the sweet spot. For that, I'll leave it to Tian Yin when he takes to the floor to maybe share a bit of how Singapore Biodesign is going ahead. But I think overall, I think we're in a good place. And so I'd like to congratulate the innovation and faculty fellows, as well as Singapore Biodesign on the journey that he has undertaken today. So now just to provide a bit of backdrop of the RIE landscape, we are launching to RIE 2025 in just 2 weeks' time, right? To recap, in RE 2020, $19 billion, clear stress on innovation and enterprise. We have done well, I think, as a local ecosystem. We were ranked 8 on the GII index, 2nd on the Bloomberg Innovation Index, and really we have been pumping money into the system, and the business expenditure on R&D has also been growing at a rate of 5% CAGR. I think over the past year, we've seen how these capabilities really came to the fore during the nation's response to COVID. Going forward, right, 2 weeks' time, when we launch into the new tranche, we are talking about close to 30% increase in terms of funding. And of course, with that increased funding, there are great expectations, right, on what we are going to do as an ecosystem. I think the first thrust here we are looking at is how can RIE expand to address a larger slate of national priorities. So one example is human potential. So that issue, that subject is coming to the fore, and we're going to invest in making sure we maximize the potential of every single Singaporean across the lifespan. 2, enriching our scientific base. This is something that I think between the AMCs, the IHLs and A-Star, we've built up a strong base layer of basic science over the years. We'll continue to strengthen it and refine our peaks of excellence. But what gets me partly excited is number 3, which is to scale up I&E platforms, right, to drive technology translation and to strengthen innovation capabilities of enterprise. And that is really the raison d'etre of what SB is all about. Let me share a few thoughts on this thing about scaling up I&E platforms. I think we're all rooting for the team just now, but from the long, I would say, time to get to market, right, we acknowledge all here that it's going to be a challenge. I think Jean-Luc alluded to that, Lawrence also alluded to that. And what we've realized over time, right, actually there's a lot of promise, there's a lot of ideas, there's a lot of potential, but I think we are facing a fundamental problem of scale, S-C-A-L-E in Singapore. I think that's where the public sector needs to come in order to do PPPs, which really help our companies, our individuals, our innovators really overcome and cross, the hurdle, right, to really be able to unleash their full potential and do good for the ecosystem. So I&E platforms is something that we constantly think about. If I may speak for PermSec R&D at the NRD level, I think at the A-Star level, at the ministerial, at the ministry level, at the HBMS Exco, we think about that. So that's why you have things like DXD Hub, we have things like EDDC, and this will hopefully help our people get more shots on goal across the line, right? And I think going forward, RE 2025, we continue to want to be very intentional in how to help our companies and our innovators succeed. Even something as simple as promoting adoption, right, by our local hospitals, by our own local public agencies, those are things which I would say there are other people in government who are also working hard at that to increase the risk appetite and to try and get our own agencies to fully back some of these innovators, to give them as much as a chance as possible. So those things we are doing, and we'll continue to listen out to feedback from all of you all in this room and beyond to see how we can do better to support the scaling up of innovation. Now it comes to the critical piece, right? Actually, at the end of the day, it's really all about the manpower, about the talent, right? And that's the yellow bar that you see over there, the manpower part. And there is tremendous commitment to sustain our research talent pipeline in the next 5 years, and in particular to nurture the entrepreneurial talent. So there was this big study which was called the National Biotech Initiative, and really it zoomed down to 2 things which we are lacking in our ecosystem. One, smart funding, which I think between ESG, EDB, EDBI, Temasek, they're trying to plug that gap. But the other one is really talent, right? Talent that knows what to do. And that is where Singapore Biodesign comes in, that you are one pipeline for trained talent that can make a difference in our ecosystem. And of course, then we try and make sure there's enough circulation in the ecosystem between the public agencies as well as industry and throughout the entire ecosystem. I also like to add that there are other initiatives that will complement Singapore Biodesign. SG Innovate is doing their summation initiative, A-Star as a tee-up, and NRD is launching the I&E fellowship program. So all this will try and populate our local ecosystem with more talent. And the fundamental belief is that with good people, good things will happen, right? And so we need to back up our people. Just my final slide. I mentioned that I think SB has come a very long way, and I think it's done very well. I think the results speak for itself on the screen. So on that note, I'd like to congratulate the team again, the steering committee team, for having put in a lot of work through the years to bring SB to where it is today, and we expect great things from you all going forward into the next RIE tranche. Thank you very much.
Thank you, CE Sir, for the welcome address. Next, we have prepared a short video of Singapore Biodesign's year in review to share with you some of our achievements for the past year. Please enjoy. Next, let us welcome Professor Wong Tian Yin, Steering Committee Chairman, Singapore Bar Design, to share his thoughts and about his experience with the Singapore Bar Design Program. Professor Wong, please.
That's a very nice video, so thanks to the whole team for putting that up. I think we're now used to seeing videos, and that itself was actually very nicely designed. PS, NRD, Madam Chan, CEO A-Star, Fred Chew, a lot of my colleagues from the steering com, of course I see many of my colleagues in A-Star, as well as the larger ecosystem. I think quite important, the larger ecosystem, the three clusters, the universities, and of course the different medical schools here. I think this is a wonderful event. We are always very pleased to be able to have this kind of ceremony, although it is a little bit small, limited, but maybe it's a bit closer, and that speaks about the biodesign journey. As I was thinking a little bit about how we are going to move forward for the future, I think several things came to mind, right? And I think the first is this whole idea, as you say here, we want to be really leading from Singapore to the world, because there's a pivot towards Asia, and we are part of the ecosystem, and we will continue to make sure that our programs are world-class and continue to push the boundaries, essentially. And I think this is the best time. COVID-19 has presented an opportunity. We should grab it, and I think we can continue to do well in this biodesign phase. A lot of help, a lot of support from Stanford, but now we are, in one sense, on our own, and we have many of you here that can support this, so thank you very much for that. The second thing, of course, we know is that disease patterns are changing. I don't need to tell this to you. I think all of you are aware. We're constantly thinking, what is the next problem? Of course, COVID-19 last year was our big challenge, is a global problem. But as COVID starts to subside, we'll go back towards our major diseases, right? Major diseases of aging, chronic diseases. You heard about GERD. There are many such problems affecting millions and millions of people, from diabetes to heart disease to cancer. So I think we shouldn't lose focus that while we tackle and hopefully suppress COVID-19, that's the only thing we do. But we will start needing to position ourselves strongly, even as many other countries possibly may take some time to, in fact, manage COVID-19. Some countries, you're thinking about 5 years or so. We, hopefully, by this year, with RE 2025, our vaccination program and so forth, we will be able to start thinking about the future. So we shouldn't lose focus, right? We have other diseases, other problems to solve, and I think that's quite important for us to look at that. I think one of the things that I was thinking a little bit about is the whole ecosystem moving quite downstream, biodesign being really an experiment, I think, from the early days of A*STAR, whereby we thought maybe we could try to do a little bit of downstream stuff. But COVID-19, in fact, has shown, and you saw it from the video, many of our innovation fellows, right, they were doing things downstream, in fact, almost immediate application. I think the vaccine development has really allowed everyone the enthusiasm and the opportunity to say, if I have an idea, I'm going to compress that timeline, I'm going to make sure there's adoption. In fact, in the clinic last week, I was talking to some patients, and there is now an acceptance of participating in trials. We never had that before. And I think people understand when we say, we can't solve your, well, I'm an ophthalmologist, so we talk about eye problems. We can't solve this eye problem today, but we have a clinical trial that may solve it for the future. And people start understanding, yeah, I think we need to do it because we are now in a phase where we are addressing unknown problems. And I think that speaks well for us. I think COVID-19 really has suggested that research is not airy-fairy, it's up in, there's no application, but there is real downstream application to patients and society. So let's take those opportunities for this. So with this kind of background, where does SB fit essentially, right? And when I was asked to chair the steering com, we will keep wondering, it's very small, a little bit of a niche program. I think Fred used the analogy of really discipleships, kind of like Shaolin Temple. You want to train how many of these guys that have to go through all the Shaolin monks and so forth. In one sense, that's true, but we also have a broader ecosystem to support. And what you're now seeing is that it is not just a focused talent pipeline on a very specific track, but we are looking at much broader ecosystem and with all the different partners. And I think Fred has already shown this kind of partner. So I think maybe on behalf of the steering com on A*STAR, I'd like to thank all the partners that are able to join us today, because it's only even during COVID-19, we got access to NUHS, and we are getting access to Duke NUS and other partners. And now we're going to do one of the programs first in Tan Tock Seng, and we will be, of course, very supportive of having this in the ecosystem. So it's only with partners that we are able to support such a biodesign program. It's no point having it in the lab, we must bring it downstream. So the 2025 really stretches, I would say, biodesign, right? From that simple kind of concept of having Zoom or teaching things all the way to this very detailed, high-touch type of innovation fellows. Biodesign will have to prioritize. We can't do everything. So we will continue to have some of the lighter touches, workshops for the general population, but we'll concentrate fully still on what we say is our, our Joseph Schoolings, right, essentially the talent pipeline that you saw here, right? Once they go back to the ecosystem, they will be change agents, they will change culture, they will change mindsets, they'll be role models. People will say, hey, that's a fantastic role model. Maybe I think I have a future, I have a career inside there. So a lot of our work will be on innovation fellowship, which is shown over here, but also on a newer mid-career fellowship, what we call faculty fellowship. So we are also launching that. That gives a little bit of sense that we're not just interested and able to develop the younger talent, but even some of our older talents in the ecosystem that wants to enter into the biodesign framework, we're going to give them opportunity. I think that broadens the talent pipeline that we have. So we're going to start by doing a few things, and this will be rolled out over the next 3 years, while we are planning for this next phase of biodesign. Now that we know a lot of the informal teaching, we're going to build much more formalized curriculum development and really work with partners. For example, we will start working with Duke NUS. I'm glad to see Silkia here, who will help us put in some of the rigors of what we say is the informal learning to make it into a formalized learning, so that it becomes in the future our own program, and that we can even attract other people, not just in Singapore, but even Asia coming here. And so I think that space itself really lends us to quite a lot of development and a lot of potential. I'm looking forward to this formalized curriculum design. Of course, we are going to look at different translation partners. We have traditionally done with very few, but I think as we have more and more connections, our networking, and I encourage all of you to link us up. If there's a site that we can let our fellows participate, if they're excited, we will want to be able to participate and bring some of our fellows into those programs. But I think more and more we are seeing that there's a good ecosystem, particularly in Asia, and we want to be the hub for these kind of activities. So we have forged much more deeper downstream translational partnerships. And then I think we're also looking at a little bit about our own career developments. And what you're seeing is that previously it was a little bit ad hoc. So after the fellowship, they may go back to either the hospital setting, or maybe they go to academia, or they start a startup, and so forth. And it's all right in that system whereby they find their own path. But right now, we are going to think a little bit more. For example, the biodesign fellow will be supported with specific NMRC type of grants, the clinician innovation track, right, essentially, that I think some of you may hear about, but much more consolidated. So no longer will NMRC just support the standard clinician scientist, which is really a lot of basic into translational work, but another track, clinician innovator. Lawrence and others are on part of this thing. So we're going to give them formalized system when they go back to the healthcare system, the PHIs, the clusters, they will have a formalized track. We'll recognize them, we'll support them. And then, secondly, in the universities and the IHLs, we'll also give what we expand our faculty fellowship. So in other words, in some of the university settings, we will give them this kind of support that they can have a career that is not just focused on academic publication. I think that's a very important thing. A lot of universities, they count peer-reviewed journals and so forth, but we are now thinking, and I think a lot of universities already agree with us, all few of the universities agree that innovation whereby you bring it application, where you bring a product without necessarily chasing after a high impact factor paper, that has a career, and that's supported in the academic promotion. And I think Provost NUS, for example, is a high supporter of that. And so I think we will have a lot of the people that are in the traditional academic track going into the innovation space and having a very good career over there. And then finally, I think we want it also in the ecosystem, in the SMEs and so forth. So a lot of the business, a lot of the partners, we would like to engage them, make sure that they are also support. These are well-trained, fellows that has gone through our system. We want to make sure that they have a career. So I think that career development will give a lot more role models, and people say, well, I go through this is the outcome that I'm going to get. So I think those are extremely exciting prospects for the future. So maybe I'd like to just, at this stage, congratulate for our innovation fellows, as well as our first batch of faculty fellows. As I said, we are now able to have a much bigger ecosystem. Some are clinicians, some you can see here, Su Yi is from A-Star, Damien is from SGH, and I think that we are also having different people volunteering, thinking this is quite a good career, and we will continue to encourage that. So I think those are important things. And they continue to be the cornerstone of our biodesign program. You've heard this today. And when you look at a problem that they're looking at, this could not be done in the traditional means, right? Because you have a clinical gap that a clinician has to really put it to the audience. A lot of us don't know how big the problem, how do you treat it, and so forth. Then you have an engineering design gap. How do you look at a competitive product? What does it do? What are the possibilities? What are the safety issues? And then even with this tool, you're not going to be able to bring it to the market. You need a business development gap in addressing that. So BioDesign has been able to bring teams like this together. So of course, I wish the entire team success. I'm sure they are very passionate and they're energized and they want to compress their 7-8 year, 50 million timeline much shorter. We'll give them the full support. But I think even if they fail, I think it's a success, right? And I think that's exactly what we want in the ecosystem. So I think with that, I of course like to thank Paul. I don't know whether he could join us on the Zoom because the timing is not exactly correct, but he has been the founder and they have really contributed to our entire curriculum essentially, right? Now we are a little bit on our own. We are a teenager, we're going to grow up, but we owe a lot of thanks to Stanford and Paul Yoke for his many years of leadership and support for us. So with that, I'd like to again congratulate all the Innovation Fellows and the Faculty Fellows, and I thank all of you for supporting this very specific but very special and program that will drive RRE 2025. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you, Professor Wong. Next, we have a video message from Professor Paul Yoke, founder and director of Stanford Byers Center for Biodesign, to congratulate the fellows and also to share an important announcement with the community. Professor Yoke, please.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and honored guests, Madam Chen Lai-Fong and Mr. Frederick Chu, the chairwoman and chief executive of A*STAR, respectively. I'm Paul Yoke, founding director of Stanford Biodesign, and I'd like to add my welcome to this event and my congratulations to the 2 SB Innovation Fellows and the first group of faculty fellows. I've had the chance in the past few weeks to hear presentations from both groups, and I'm really impressed with the fellows' mastery of the biodesign process and the quality of the projects that they've advanced. Well done to both teams. But there's one more very important thing I want to say this afternoon. Actually, it's a special announcement. As you may know, there are several international programs that have developed in conjunction with biodesign. And years ago, we decided that we would create a special designation to those programs that achieved a particularly distinctive level of excellence. Programs where the quality of education, the output of the fellows, and the sustainability of the program were extraordinary. We designate these programs formally as affiliates of Stanford Biodesign. In the 20 years of our existence, there's only been one program to achieve this status. That is the BioInnovate program in Ireland. So this afternoon, I'm happy to announce that Singapore Biodesign has officially been designated as a new affiliate program. Let me read a bit from the letter that we just sent to Mary Kahn and the SB Steering Committee. On behalf of the Stanford Byers Center for Biodesign, we have the great pleasure of officially conferring the status of Stanford Biodesign affiliate to the Singapore Biodesign program. This is a testament to your organization's unwavering commitment to our shared biodesign goals and principles, and the outstanding accomplishments you have achieved with your team. We have watched as your program has grown to achieve significant impact in Singapore. Particularly notable have been the high quality of the fellows trained, the career impact of the graduates, and last but not least, the strong representation of alumni fellows in leading the SB office. On this 10th anniversary of SB in Singapore, we look back with pride on your program's past accomplishments, but we're even more excited about what the future holds. We look forward to continuing our close partnership. So there are many organizations and people to thank for this accomplishment, too many to name here, but I'd like to highlight a few. First, I want to thank the National Research Foundation and Chairman Lai Feng for their continued support of talent development in the innovation and entrepreneurship space in Singapore. I want to single out Mr. Frederick Chu, the CE of A-Star, who has led the transition into RIE 2025 with a compelling vision for MedTech in Singapore. Next, let me acknowledge Zirui Tan, who has been there from the start. My personal thanks, Zirui, for your guidance and strategic brilliance in getting us through to this point. Let me mention Dr. Tien Yin Wong, who's now leading the SB Singapore Steering Committee as the chairman, and I'd like to also acknowledge the rest of the very talented and dedicated committee. I want to mention Enterprise Singapore and EDB, who have been partners in creating a vibrant and growing ecosystem in Singapore. The progress over the past 10 years in MedTech has been truly remarkable. And finally, and in a way most important, my thanks and congratulations to the members of SSB and SB staff, both past and current. I would single out, because we've spent a lot of time in the trenches together, Ray Pei and Jui Lim, who demonstrated that most essential trait of entrepreneurs, namely stubborn persistence in giving birth to this program. And I can't finish without a special thanks to Mary Khan, whose steady and quietly confident leadership has delivered this program to a new level of excellence. So again, congratulations to the graduating fellows and faculty fellows. In addition, warm congratulations to all of the SSB and SB alums. In fact, everyone who's assembled here for this event. Collectively, you have done a masterful job of launching Singapore by Design onto the world stage. Again, congratulations and thank you.
Thank you, Professor York. As most of us will know by now, Professor York will be retiring soon. Paul is an incredible luminary in our field of MedTech innovation, and his impact has been deeply felt by each and every one of us and around the world. Our ecosystem here in Singapore has directly benefited from his leadership and guidance, mostly through his involvement with the Singapore Bar Design Program. We would like to congratulate Paul on an exceptional career and a well-deserved retirement. Now, for the segment we've all been waiting for, the certificate presentation to our graduating fellows. We would like to invite our guest of honor, Ms. Chan Lai Feng, PSNLD, forward for the presentation of certificates to our 2021 graduating fellows. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for the 2020 Innovation Fellows. Dr. Kok Pan Chen. Mr. Gibson Lee Su Guan. Mr. John Ng Shen Him. Congratulations to SB. And now we welcome on stage our 2020 Faculty Fellows. Associate Professor Manojit Pramanik. Dr. Su Yi. Dr. Damien Tan Meng Yu. Thank you very much, Ms. Chan. May we invite you back to your seat, please. Once again, please join me in congratulating the fellows on their hard-earned graduation from the Singapore Bar Design Innovation and Faculty Fellowships. So the phrase, "it takes a village to raise a child," has been said many times, almost at every graduation ceremony. But truly, no fellowship will be successful without proper mentorship and guidance. On behalf of our newly minted Innovation Fellows, Kok Pan would like to say a few words of appreciation. Kok Pan, please.
Thank you, Mark. Hi, everyone, again. So I just want to say a quick few words. So the three of us had a very momentous journey. Just to encapsulate 2020. So 2019, just to recap our journey, 2019, November, we signed our contract to commit ourselves to this program. And this was the program that was supposed to be meant for us. So 4 months in Singapore needs finding, where we are supposed to go to the clinical wards and the endoscopy center, etc., to find clinical needs and to perform observations to try and find needs. And subsequently, we were supposed to go to China or Indonesia to validate, because I think the theme is Asian-centric clinical needs finding. Subsequently, back to Singapore for to generate the prototypes and concepts, and then to Stanford for further work on the biodesign process. However, as Mike Tyson said, everybody has a strategy until they get hit. So we were baptized in fire in 2020, and that was what one of our key lessons there is to get it there and get it done. So the first challenge that we had last year was COVID. So January 23rd, 2020 was the first patient that was diagnosed with COVID confirmed in Singapore. So I served in NCID. John was involved in the SG Inspire ventilator project. So at the beginning, we were thinking maybe we can have some prep time to read about clinical theme, and then to read out on the biodesign process, watch some videos to get a kickstart. But we did not have any of that. Then COVID came and the program had to start. And of course, clinical immersion was very challenging. For us, we had to do mostly virtual clinical immersion, and there was no regional validation for us, and there was no Stanford. However, we are all innovators, and it's very important for us to improvise, adapt, and overcome. And for that, I'm very, very grateful for the Singapore Biodesign team for doing a lot for us over the past 1 year. So we had virtual simulator endoscopy. We had to stream live endoscopy videos performed worldwide. We are watching videos at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. to get an endoscopy live stream. We learned anatomy through Zoom. And of course, we also had a lot of videos and webinars conducted through Zoom. It was truly a time when we had to adapt to the technologies that were available worldwide. So phase 1 of circuit breaker, we managed to generate 214 need statements. And thankfully, NUHS, I think Prof. Lawrence also here, who hosted us as well for 2 weeks to join the endoscopy center as well as the clinic for us to generate more needs. And from there, we generated 81 need statements. So we're very thankful for NUHS for that. So these are some of the need statements that we generated. I just wanted to highlight that the bottom right corner is the one that we presented out of many. There are some that are dealing with COVID. However, due to the limitations, we will probably work on those after this program has ended. So our gratitude to the SB Steering Committee for selecting us and giving us opportunity to join this program. So Professor Wong Tian Yin, Professor London, Professor Paul York, Professor Tan Ziwi, Dr. Dennis Soon, Mr. Jean-Luc, Mr. Johnny Teo, and Mr. Frederick for giving us this opportunity. The SB team I think they really did a lot for us to try and replicate what the biodesign process is in a Singapore context in a time of a pandemic. So Mary, Cheryl, Fiona, Finn, Mark, Shireen, Hichun, Adeline, and Alex, I think we are very, very thankful for what you all have done for us the past year. And cannot forget our mentors, Professor London, Florence, Jing Ming, Professor Christopher Shen, Ritu, as well as Ray, who have supported us throughout these 10 months. We're very, very grateful for all the things that they have shared to make sure that we have the highest chance of success. And also as our partners during these past 10 months, so we went through NSG, NUHS, we had some help from SingHealth, and as well as the Stanford and Fogarty Innovation site. So many, many people have helped us as well. So before I part, I'd like to share 5 lessons that we all have learned. So number 1, begin with the end in mind. So always set goals and have plans. So I think like what we all have mentioned, what's the development plan, 7 to 8 years, what's the figure? So when we proposed that to Stanford, they all said, well, you're very realistic people. But I think that is where we were trying to be, because they told us that if you share with them like a 4-year plan, they will say that you guys do not know what's actually there. So always have a plan in mind. However, we must always be aware that things may go south and always have buffers. Number 2, focus on strengths. This came out when we had this virtual Fogarty Innovation Tour. They were saying nowadays we hear a lot of platform technologies, people trying to achieve a lot of goals using a single platform or technology. However, what they told us is it's more important to focus on your strengths, because 10 things that are of 80% done are of zero value. It's more important to prove that you have something of value first, and then maybe from there, you can generate more solutions. But at the same time, keep a diverse view. Solution and opportunities may just be next door. So always look into other fields, other collaborators. So for our case, look at other specialties or other disciplines, other sectors such as maybe defense sector, where some medical technology has been borrowed from. Fourth, I think to build a community of successful innovators, we need to have the right people who share the common same purpose, and then in the end must provide a product that is relevant to the market's needs. And lastly, I think COVID has taught us that time is the most precious, non-renewable resource. So take the time to appreciate the people and world around you. We all have goals, we have KPIs, we all have all these things to meet. But remember that time is a non-renewable resource, and always stop and smell the flowers from time to time. Thank you.
Thank you, Kok Pan. Let us invite Damien to speak on behalf of the Faculty Fellows. Damien, please.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm on behalf of the Biodesign faculty. I would like to give a big thank you to Ms. Chan Lai Fong, who's in charge of the entire A-Star program, the CEO, as well as Professor Wong Tian In. I think that this Biodesign Faculty Fellowship is something that's quite unique. It picks up 3 different individuals, myself as a clinician at the mid-tier level, Manojit as a professor in NTU, and Sui from A-Star, the deputy director. And when I look back at the 3 of us, I know why we were chosen. And I realized actually we are quite different from the Innovation Fellows. Looking back at my career as a mid-tier clinician, when I was coming back from HMDP, I actually looked fondly at the Innovation Fellows because I realized that they were taken aside to spend 1 year to go to Stanford. But when I came back, I was probably a bit too old. You had specialized in a subspecialty, and the HOD told you have to go and see patients and to churn the numbers, build up your core skills, be very good at what procedure you're doing. And that's where I realized that I kind of missed that boat as an Innovation Fellow. But when this faculty fellowship came along, it actually gave me an opportunity to get re-involved in the biodesign family and environment. And I hear the same thing coming from Manojit too. He's in NTU, he's an associate professor. He likes to tinker with things and build things for people to use. He actually gave me an analogy, he likes to build things for his daughter to use. But as an associate professor, he spends most of his time teaching and trying to get papers published and rarely ever translating it into something that someone can physically hold and use. And likewise for Sui, he likes to solve problems using AI and to be able to help create some real-world solutions for real-world problems. And that's why he even took time out to join SMRT in one of the darkest days. He actually helped things in SMRT. So I think one common thread that among the faculty fellows that we had was this conviction that we want to translate something, but we are at a different level in our careers. We are no longer as maybe young and as full of energy and able to sacrifice to maybe travel around the world, but we are at a different position in our lives where we can actually be enablers for our juniors or people who are in our institutions to help them. So I think I'm really very grateful for A-Star and as well as all the ministries involved, whether it's MOH, MOEs, who are now really focused on creating this entire environment, because I think as faculty fellows, we are now in a different position to be better able to help to the whole entire ecosystem. One thing that we went through the whole program is exactly like our Innovation Fellows. We actually had a needs statement. We actually went through all the biodesign processes of trying to come up with a solution. We didn't actually want to talk about it because the star should be them, because we actually came up with our own project on pancreatic cancer, which is close to my heart. But one thing that we realized is that we actually were able to connect with all the different people in the environment in this local context. They open lots of doors for us. So now when we know we have a problem, we actually can pick up a phone call, we know who to email. And likewise, when people approach us in our own institutions, we can actually open doors for them. So I think this is the greatest beauty of the faculty fellows. I think we are unique, different from the Innovation Fellows. And I think this is a real great honor for the 3 of us that we are able to be the inaugural batch. So with that, I'd like to thank everybody for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Damien, and congratulations to our fellows once again. We know that you have worked hard, we know that you've learned well, and are now itching to step forth and make a difference. From all of us at Singapore Biodesign, we wish you all the best in your future endeavors. And now we have come to the end of the Singapore Biodesign Fellowship Graduation Ceremony. At SB, our mission of nurturing talent and future medtech leaders would not be possible without the support of our partners and mentors. We look forward to your continued generosity as friends of the SB community. On behalf of the Singapore Biodesign Program Office, I would like to thank you for being a part of this afternoon's ceremony. And we have enjoyed your company today. We hope that we hope that the new bonds they have forged at this event will serve you well. With that, I'd like to thank you all for your presence today, and I wish you a very good evening ahead. Thank you. For those who need to stay behind for